In this video, I'll be slow cooking corned beef brisket to make deli style corned beef sandwiches like you might get at a Jewish deli in New York City. In addition, I'll be serving that with deviled egg potato salad that I'll be making in the Instant Pot.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be notified when there's new videos. Comments welcome. Thank you.
So to get started, I'm going to be preparing the corned beef brisket. Now, a corned beef brisket is just a regular beef brisket that has been cured with salt and saltpeter or prog powder, or anyway, curing powder, curing salt, pink salt, and also some spices, basically a pickling spice. And therefore, it's pretty salty. It's like they used to make when they cure ham or bacon. It's very similar. So before we cook this, I want to soak it in water to remove the salt, or at least some of the salt. It's still going to be salty, but we want to remove some so it's not too salty. And this is a personal preference. Of course, if you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I like to soak it, rinse it off and soak it for about an hour before I start cooking it. Some people will soak it, say, overnight, but that's really just your preference. I would suggest soaking it though, at least the first time you cook it, so you can see how salty it's going to be. Like I said, all we do is rinse it off and put it in a tub like this, submerge it in water, and then we'll put it in the refrigerator. And I'm just going to do this for about an hour, and then I'll put it in the slow cooker. So here we go, hour later. Now when you go to buy your corned beef brisket, there's two different cuts of the brisket, and there's the flat and the point. And I'm using the flat, and the flat's usually a little more expensive than the point. The flat is also leaner, and the point has more fat. Interestingly, pastrami is made basically the same way from a brisket, except that it is coated with a different spice and it is smoked. Corned beef is generally not smoked, but it can be, of course. I think it starts to get more like pastrami than when you do it that way. But so now the briskets. The corned beef briskets used to come with a spice packet, but I haven't seen that lately. All they have is a little bit of brine left and spice, whatever's left from when they brined it. So I add some more spice in, and that is just pickling spice into the slow cooker with the corned beef. And then I'm going to add a cup of water. And then, since it is St. Patrick's Day, we're going to have a can of Guinness in there. And I'm using the alcohol-free, but you can use the alcohol version, of course. Get a similar flavor from both ones. Now I'm cooking this, starting this late, about 10 o'clock. So I'm going to cook this on high for about 7.5 hours. If you have more time, you can cook it on low for, say, 8 to 10 hours. But it's not going to dry out because we have enough liquid in there anyway. Okay, so it's pretty well done at this point. We'll check the temperature. And what you want to do is hit, 205, 210. It's like if you're cooking a brisket. And then you can do the temperature probe test like this, where you just stick it in there and move it around. And if you can just tear through it and it feels kind of like Jell-O, then it's good to go. Now we still have a little time left, and I'm good because I'm going to make the potato salad now go alongside it. So we'll just leave that cooking in the slow cooker. We have a little time for dinner. Like I said, we're going to do the potato salad in the Instant Pot, and it's a deviled egg potato salad, so we have to boil eggs as well. So I'm measuring out about 2 pounds of these Yukon Gold potatoes. Then I'll wash these up and cut out any bad spots. And I'm not going to peel them. You can peel them if you like your potato salad to have peeled potatoes, but I like to leave the skins on. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut these up into bite-sized pieces and load them in the Instant Pot. When I'm starting out there, I'm thinking I'm going to use the trivet, the little metal rack, but I changed my mind and decided to go with the silicone steamer basket that I have, or you can use a metal one. That way I figure I can just pull the potatoes out and leave them in there while they cool a little bit. be a little easier to handle. Okay, those are all cut up. Now we just need a cup of water. Cup and a half, something like that. Now the eggs. We're going to use 8 eggs. And this is the cool thing about doing this in the Instant Pot, is we can put the eggs in and we'll cook them at the same time. And as you'll see, they'll be perfectly boiled, perfectly hard-boiled eggs. One thing you do have to do though is you can't let the Instant Pot sit once it's done. You got to do the quick release and get the eggs out and into ice water to stop the cooking. Okay, so now I'm going to set the Instant Pot for just 4 minutes, and it's probably take 10 to 15 minutes to heat up and then start going. Like I said earlier, as soon as that thing goes off, you want to do the quick release and get those potatoes out and get the eggs and put them into the ice water. So next up, I'm going to mix up the dressing for the potato salad while those are cooking. Pretty basic potato salad, thanks. And then the other thing that's going in here is we're going to have some celery and some onions, and to give it some crunch, and of course the onion for some flavor. Both get good flavor in there. And I like to dice up the celery and the onions pretty small for this. I don't like huge chunks of that. Okay, we have dressing done, so now we can work on so now we can start on the sauerkraut. And I just picked up a 16-ounce jar of sauerkraut, and to that I'm going to add some caraway seeds, which are what give like rye bread its flavor. I want to add a little bit of that flavor to the sauerkraut. So I looked that up on the internet, and that's about 2 teaspoons per pound. Just checking the meat again for the heck of it. Okay, Instant Pot is done. Did a quick release, let the steam out. Now let's use these tongs. We'll take the eggs out and smack them on the counter before you put them in the ice water. That way they'll peel easier, because the cold water will go in there and get around the shell, and they'll peel perfectly. This works like every time. And so I pulled the potatoes out and set them aside there to cool a little faster than they would inside on the Instant Pot, which is still hot, of course. Okay, got all those. Now we'll just put all the stuff into the bowl there. And I'm going to cut 3 of these in half and take the yolks out. So we're going to mix that into the dressing. We got our yolks, and you can see there's no green on there, no brown, nothing. They're perfectly cooked. So we just mash them up, and then we'll just stir that into the dressing. Okay, and then I'm just going to chop up the rest of the eggs. And I like to use this egg slicer, but you could just chop them up with a knife, of course. Okay, and then I stuck that in the refrigerator. I'm going to let it chill for a little bit before we actually put the dressing on. I'll put the dressing on just before we get ready to serve it. Although if you were, you could just mix it on there, mix the dressing in. But I like to let it chill so the potatoes are not as soft before I mix the dressing in. All right, so now I'm just going to take and pull the fat off the corned beef. There's a little fat cap on here. And there'll be less of a fat cap on if you had a point cut instead of the flat. The flat usually has a bigger fat cap on it. Now what I'm going to do is I just want to shred this, and then I'm going to stick this in a frying pan on the stove, and heat it up with some of the juice. And I'm going to put Swiss cheese on the top to melt it. And that way people can just grab some and put it on their sandwich. And it's already got the cheese melted and ready to go. I don't have to make each sandwich separate and try to melt the cheese or any of that. And I'm not doing a grilled sandwich like Reuben's, just doing like a deli style. Got some Jewish Rye. Like you might get at Katz where they just give you bread and you can get it with mustard or Russian dressing or whatever. I guess they frown upon mayonnaise, but you could do mayonnaise as well. And I asked everyone in the family if they wanted the bread toasted, so I'm toasting the bread. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to put some Swiss cheese on here. And I bought the thin slice stuff. It's up to you. You could do provolone too. You could. I don't have a lid specifically for that pan, but I got this universal lid. All we gotta do is let that steam and melt. Okay. Now this is chilled a little bit. Potatoes are a little firmer, so they hopefully won't fall apart too bad when we're mixing in the dressing. Now only cooking them for 4 minutes in the Instant Pot means they're not super soft anyway. Okay. Well, the cheese melted down a little more than I thought, so I'm going to add another layer. I want more cheese in there. Taste the salad. It's good. Good to go. Last thing we need is some paprika on the top for color. Now it looks like potato salad from a deli. All right, it's good to go. So basically in the deli, they will steam the corned beef. So that's basically what we're getting here. We're getting it steamed and then cheese is melting on. All right, so we've got our little buffet. We got our corned beef Swiss cheese and our potato salad, and here's our mustard or Russian dressing, depending on whatever they want. No mayonnaise. Okay, almost forgot the sauerkraut. So I'll just make up my sandwich. Get a bunch of this spicy brown mustard. I'll load it up with corned beef and Swiss cheese. Sauerkraut. All right, get a big helping of potato salad. Let's cut into it here and see what it looks like. All right, looks pretty good. Actually, it was pretty good. There you have it. Deli style corned beef and deviled egg potato salad.
If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to be notified when new videos become available.